Hola, buenas tardes. Good evening to everyone out there. Welcome to En Casa con la Plaza. My name is Abelardo de la Peña Jr. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications with La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. We've been bringing you En Casa con la Plaza now for a little bit over a year. We started on April 27th and today is April 28th. So that's a year and a day. So thank you so much for joining us. We've been bringing you these En Casa con la Plaza sessions, which are presentations, conversations, demonstrations, and performances from our home to yours. Our sponsors tonight, PepsiCo and Kaiser Permanente. Those of you joining us on Zoom, please use the chat feature. Let us know de donde vienen, where are you zooming from? Also, we'll be taking questions. You could use the Q&A and ask questions, and we'll let Dr. Arjona answer them after her presentation. Unfortunately, we're not able to connect to Facebook tonight, so you're lucky, all of you out there, in being able to see this presentation live. Our sponsors again, PepsiCo and Kaiser Permanente. So a little bit about Dr. Gloria Arjona. As a border performer, born in El Paso, Texas, and growing up in La Ciudad de Mexico, Dr. Arjona, she crosses various languages, disciplines, and music styles to carry on a musical mission that aims to educate and entertain. And I can tell you she does both educate and entertain. In these interactive lectures that she's been doing on En Casa con la Plaza, this is her fourth. Previously did one on Loteria, a very popular one, on Soldaderas, and on Posada's literary Calaveras. She'll perform when we get live again and we're able to do things in person. She'll perform solo, singing, and playing acoustic career, and also as a duo, trio, and quartet with keyboards, bass, drums, and other performers. So with that, let's welcome to En Casa con la Plaza, Gloria Arjona. Please join us, Gloria.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Abelardo. Thank you all my friends and my students that are joining us. I already saw a few names and I get very excited. I'm more excited because I am talking about a woman I admire a lot, okay? So first I want to thank once again Abelardo and his program En Casa con la Plaza for enriching our lives during the pandemic. As he mentioned, I have participated in many programs, not only as a presenter, but also watching and listening to the excellent programs La Plaza de la Cultura y Artes brings, and now will start again, or they started again bringing live. So I will start by sharing my PowerPoint. I am as educator, as you say, so I always use images, and this is something nice I like about Zoom. I know that we are kind of hating Zoom already, but for talks, for charlas, is good because we can share good quality images. And since I know that we have talked too much about Frida Kahlo. La vemos hasta en la sopa. We saw her even in the soup, right? And it seems that we cannot tell anything else about Frida. We know a lot about her. We know that she used to, she loved the Mexican fashion and loved to combine, as we see her in this picture, Indian garments and China jewelry, jewelry from China, I'm sorry, and traditional Mexican clothing. We know her love for her husband, Diego Rivera, and for other lovers. We know that she, as well as Diego Rivera, and those of you who don't know, now you will know that they had an open relation. After all, they were the product of the Mexican Revolution, so they were throwing away many prejudices of the middle class, okay? So they had an open relation, open, entre parentheses, because it was not very open, but we know her tremendous love for her husband, the greatest artist, Diego Rivera. We know that she suffered an accident and she an accident and polio when she was very young, and that she has a precarious health because of that. And but what do we know about her narrative? What do we know how have you really read the poems Frida wrote? She wrote many poems. I mean, she was not like a poet like Pablo Neruda, but she loved to read, to read and write. Of course, she was an educated person. So not many people know about her narrative. And that's the aspect I want to highlight tonight. Let me move this. I opened the chat and now it's distracting me. Okay. So when we talk about, and that's what I decided to entitle Crossing Borderlines, because she has this narrative aspect that we seldom know. We know her as a visual artist. So I want to emphasize how even in her visual, she crosses the disciplines. And because we're talking about La Frontera, I consider pertinent to start with a quote by another amazing woman, a Chicana writer, Gloria Arjona, who wrote a lot about La Frontera, the borderlines. And she says, to survive the borderlands, you must live sin fronteras, be a crossroads. And I consider that quote very pertinent for our charla tonight. That quote written by a woman that Frida didn't know. A woman that was very different than Frida in many ways. Frida was from Mexico City. Gloria Arjona, mi tocaya, from La Frontera, from the United States. Frida lived during the first years of the 20th century. She was born in 1907. Gloria Arjona towards the second half of the 19th century. Frida was a light-skinned woman descendant from a Jewish and German and Hungarian father. Gloria Arjona was, as she described herself, a prietita, a dark skin, but these two women had a lot in common. And one of the main things they had in common is that both of them broke the lines established by the patriarchal society. And that's what I want to address today or tonight. Frida was a dicharachera. Dichos. As many Mexicans, we use a lot of dichos. So when a person says a lot of dichos for everything in your daily life, we say that that person is a dicharachera, and Frida was that kind of person. We have heard a lot of sayings not necessarily invented by her, but sayings that belong to the popular culture that Frida incorporated in her daily life. And one of the ones that I love more in Spanish is me emborracho para ahogar mis penas, pero las malditas ya aprendieron a nadar. I get drowned, or I try to drown my sorrows in alcohol, but the bastards learn how to swim. Another one in Spanish, hay quienes nacen con estrella y otros estrellados. Y crean o no, yo pertenezco a estos últimos. Some are born with a star, some are lucky. Others are star-crossed, unlucky. Believe it or not, I am one of the latter. But the most popular saying that Frida used to say, and again, not necessarily that she invented, but that she appropriated, is pies para qué los quiero si tengo alas para volar. Feet, what do I need you for when I have wings to fly? And she wrote, again, I am paying attention and inviting you to pay attention to everything that she wrote, because she paid a lot of attention in what she wrote, and sometimes we don't pay attention to that. So right here we see a drawing of one of her legs, her right leg, la enfermita, and then below the drawing, pies para que los quiero, si tengo alas para volar. Why did she write this saying, and why did she draw this drawing that belongs to her diary, her journal? Well, in 1953, Frida, she was around 40, 45, 47, 46. She, among her multiple health issues, she easily developed gangrene. So in 1953, her right leg was full of gangrene, and the doctors could not do anything else but amputate her leg from the knee to the bottom. And then Frida wrote this saying. Why? To give her some courage, para darse coraje, to pretend that it was not a big deal. So it was a form of resilience that Frida used, but the reality was that she was very depressed after they amputated her leg. So depressed that a few months later she tried to commit suicide 2 times, after in 1954, on July 13, 1954, she died of an overdose. I still believe that her narrative, in any form, in sayings, in poems, in the songs that she included in her visual art, Frida is showing a person, a woman that has a lot of resilience. We get a more complete picture by reading everything that Frida wrote, that by only looking at her drawings, which is something that we usually do because they are so fascinating. But if you have followed Frida, if you are familiar with her paintings, you will see that she is never happy in her paintings. Neither her paintings, because we have 2 kinds. We have paintings, self-portraits, because most of her work, well, 1/3 of her work were self-portraits, about 55 self-portraits, and she was also a model. So with the picture that I started, it was actually a photography. Okay, those of you that do not know a lot about the biography of Frida, her father was a very well-known photographer, and Frida was usually her model. So modeling was something very natural for Frida. But if you notice, she is never happy. Never smiles, never shows any happiness, neither when she is a model, and much less when she in her self-portraits. In her narrative, on the contrary, we see all kinds of emotions. So that's what I insist. Just when we pay attention also to the narrative as well as to her paintings, we are able to understand how complex was this woman. Frida kept a diary, a journal, un diario, and there are beautiful little poems she composed for mainly for Diego Rivera, for other men too, okay, but mainly for Diego Rivera. And I would like to start. I recorded a little poem. This one right here, that again is I found it in her journal, and she is talking about the hands and the eyes of Diego Rivera. Let me tell you something. Diego Rivera was ugly, but I don't know what did he have that he was like an Iman. He had the attraction. All women, beautiful women, felt attracted by Diego Rivera, and Frida was one of them. So let me play for you this little poem that Frida wrote for her husband, Diego Rivera.
Querido Diego, nothing compares to your hands, and nothing like the green gold of your eyes. My body fills with you day after day. You are my mirror at night. You are a powerful explosion of lighting, the water of the earth. The space of your armpits is my refuge. My fingertips can touch your blood. All my pleasure comes by feeling the abundant life of your fountain that my flower keeps to fill all the paths of my nerves, which are yours, Frida.
Beautiful, beautiful, very simple poem she wrote for her husband, Diego Rivera. In her journal, the very well-known writer Carlos Fuentes, one of my favorites, does the introduction in the Spanish and the English version as well. And he mentions two great influences in Frida that I want to highlight tonight. One of them is what we call retablos or exvotos. This is not a painting by Frida. This is a retablo. What was a retablo? Retablo is still, because it's very still used in Mexico, a retablo is a form of popular art, religious oriented. Okay, when a person goes through an illness or through an accident or through COVID, I even saw some COVID-related exvotos. That person, if she overcomes that terrible situation, that person orders with an artisan or a local artist, a very humble artist, to do an exvoto for her or for him. And the exvoto, like this one that belongs to an anonymous person, probably this one is from the, I will guess that this one is a very modern exvoto. The exvoto has three parts. Okay, it has the drawing, the main drawing that tells the people what happened. We can tell, again, I don't know whom this exvoto belongs, but you can tell here that there are like a few persons, malvados probably, robbers, that assaulted this couple, and fortunately this couple were able to overcome that situation. So whatever happened to that person, they will have the drawing that describes that situation. The second element is a saint or God or la Virgin. In this case, is a virgin. Okay, which is the virgin, the holy person or spirit that protected those people. Those people had faith in that virgin, in this case, in this Virgen de los Remedios, maybe, and that's an important part of the Exporto. That's the second element. And the third element is the narrative that tells what actually happened to the person that ordered the Exporto. Okay, so notice 3 elements. This is what Frida did in most of her work of the first years. Right here, Frida painted herself an ex-voto. This has to do, this is from 1925, you can see the date right here, because this ex-voto tells the terrible accident that Frida had when she was 19 years old. You can tell, even without knowing her biography, you can see that there was an accident. And in that accident, Frida was traveling in a bus, okay, and a trolley, a heavy trolley, crushed with the bus and practically cut the bus in 2 parts. And Frida was one of those passengers, and everybody thought that she had died. Even the Red Cross, they didn't help her immediately because they thought that she was a dead person, so they were paying attention to the persons who they could help, and Frida survived that accident. And right here, she is represented the Virgen de Dolores and the narrative. Now, Frida painted herself. Usually the ex-votos, other persons will have an artisan or a local artist to do an ex-voto for them. The ex-votos were not only popular in Mexico. I saw a movie in Netflix that is called Retablo. Ex-votos or retablos are the same thing, from Bolivia. So I assume that in all Latin America, probably even in Brazil, that's why I say Latin America, or at least in the Spanish-speaking countries of Latin America, people develop the art from of the ex-votos, which has a Spanish origin. So right here, we have a narrative, and Frida not only painted her own ex-voto, but she pretended that Mr. Guillermo Kahlo and Mrs. Matilde Calderon, her mother and her father, ordered the ex-voto. As we can see in the narrative that I translated for you, Mr. Guillermo Kahlo and Mrs. Matilde Calderon, husband and wife, give thanks to the Virgin of Dolores for saving their daughter Frida from the accident occurred in 1925. So this is the art, and I urge my students and all the public, like, whenever you see a work by of Frida, try to look for these 3 elements. If you find them, that means that that's an indicio, okay? That's a sign of the influence of the ex-votos in her work. Now, the other great influence that has relation with the previous was José Guadalupe Posada. And now that Abelardo was introducing me, he mentioned that I presented here in this program almost one year ago, the Loteria, and I talk about José Guadalupe Posada, and then I presented my book on calaveras created by José Guadalupe Posada, by Posada. This drawing, this engraving will be familiar for most of you because José Guadalupe Posada is the artist, the creator of all the imagery we see during Day of the Dead, and La Catrina is the most popular. But José Guadalupe Posada created, I'm going to talk a little bit about Jose Guadalupe Posada, because then I'm going to show you how he influenced very directly Frida Kahlo. Jose Guadalupe Posada not only draw calaveras, he in fact, well, right here we see more calaveras, and as I presented before, he also devoted an important place to the poems that accompany, usually during the Day of the Dead, these calaveras, to the rhymes that accompany. You see, we have the same mix of drawing or image and text. And that's also something that we find in Frida Kahlo. And just as it happens in Frida Kahlo, sometimes we overlook the narrative work also of Jose Guadalupe Posada. It seems that we are more a visual culture than a narrative culture, okay? But I am inviting you today to look at the writing, at the poems or rhymes in the case of the work of Jose Guadalupe Posada. And another thing that he used to do, we must remember that at the beginning of the 20th century, Jose Guadalupe Posada lived the beginning of the revolution, the Mexican Revolution, the 1910 Mexican Revolution, and most of the people, unfortunately, were illiterate. So Jose Guadalupe Posada wanted to get to the commoner, to the people of El Pueblo. And how could he get informed? Because he delivered information to these people. The only means he had was through cheap, very cheap, massively produced engravings or drawings, and accompanied with images and rhymes. Right here, he is spreading the news of the arrival of one of the most important revolucionarios, Madero. Okay, so that it was a way to communicate, to inform the commoner, the people that didn't know how to read and write. Okay, Jose Guadalupe Posada was a man of his time. Okay, and I have to say this because, of course, he had many of the prejudices that that many men and women had during his time and even in the present times. And one of the most popular engravings accompanied with text that Jose Guadalupe did was Los 41 Maricones. The word maricon is an offensive word for gay people, not only in Mexico, but in all the Spanish-speaking countries, in Spain too. And this news, I took it because I just found that Netflix is going to present on May a film based in this happening. Okay, what happened in this party was that it was a party for gays. As you can see, some of them are dressed in women, so they were partying, and then the police arrived. Okay, because of course, if you had different sexual I want to say, if you wanted to be different, okay, you were sometimes against even the law. And this is what happened in this happening. And again, I just saw a few days ago that I knew that about this film that came out in Mexico a year ago, more or less, before the pandemic, and now Netflix, they are going to present it. So I think it will be interesting to see it, okay? So all this information, good or bad, Posada took and presented through his engraving. Right here, you are in front of the most direct drawing, the drawing or the painting of Frida, based in a work by Jose Guadalupe Posada. This, the one that you have on your left, is an engraving, is one of those news that Jose Guadalupe Posada wrote. It talks about a suicide of una señorita, a lady, that she dropped herself, she committed suicide from the cathedral, okay? And it was a very sounded news. And what happened a few years later, when Posada, Frida and Diego Rivera and all the Siqueiros, they admire Jose Guadalupe Posada, but unfortunately, when he died, as always happens, okay, because Jose Guadalupe Posada died in 1913, and Frida was born in 1907 in her case, okay, so she didn't know him in person, but she knew about his work, okay. So right here, this is, the critics have recognized, of course, the direct influence of Jose Guadalupe Posada in her work, and mainly in this painting. Right here, the story is kind of macabre, okay? The story behind this painting, because what happened is that there was a model, Dorothy Hale, that was never a very well known. It was an American actress, no model, but she was more an actress. And she was married to an important man, and then that person died. And to make the long story short, is that Dorothy Hale became impoverished. Okay, she lost everything. She lost her fortune. She lost her contacts. So that's one of the reasons why she committed suicide. She was not successful in the movies industry. So when she was very young, she committed suicide, okay? And then a common friend of Frida, her name was Ruth Luz. She was an important person, and she and Frida were talking about this acontecimiento. I mean, everybody was impacted by Dorothy Hale's suicide. And then Frida asked, she suggested, should I paint something like a memory for Dorothy? And Mrs. Booth, she said, well, yeah, that's a great idea. And she was thinking more like how Frida will do something like her self-portraits. And Frida came out with this, which, as you can see, is very graphic. And more because it was going to be a gift that the person who ordered it was going to give to the mother of Dorothy Hale. So, of course, right here we see a very, very much in the way of Frida, two Dorothys, one falling from the tower and another one on the floor, dead, and with the eyes open, and very, very graphic, even grotesque, okay? And of course, Miss Booth was very offended, and there were other elements, even the name of Dorothy Hale, that she said, no, you have to take it out, okay? She was very upset by this painting. Now this painting, I believe, is in a museum in Arizona, okay? So there is a whole story about the trajectory of this painting. But I wanted to exemplify the influence of Jose Guadalupe Posada, an aspect that we seldom recognize. I'm always reading and trying to find new information, because I love these presentations and I don't want to repeat the same thing, okay, about Frida Kahlo. And I found this book that was published in 2009. It's not very, very new, relatively new, but it talks about a collection, and the collection is very relatively new, a collection of 2004, that a couple of the owners of a gallery found in San Miguel Allende in the year 2004, and a collection of letters, poems, recipes that they say that they belong to Frida Kahlo. In this collection, we find frames with paintings, drawings. Again, we have envelopes with letters that Frida, for any reason, didn't send. We find also letters to Diego Rivera. Right here, Frida used to call Diego Sapo. Sapo means frog, okay? And frog was Diego's nickname, okay? Why frog? Well, because Diego had a very big eyes with the eyes were kind of round, like a frog eyes, okay? At least from the point of view of Frida. So she used to call him Mi Sapo, and he didn't have any problem with that, okay? Or frog or toad, okay? So we find many letters that accompany with the image, the drawing of a frog, and we have also I found in this book recipes, like a dulce de frijol, traditional Mexican recipes. And something that I love is that I found calaveras, literary calaveras that I didn't include here because those are more like in the erotic side of Frida Kahlo. It's questionable if all this material is authentic or not. That's what I say. Is it falso? It's false, okay? Es el material apócrifo de Frida Kahlo. But let me tell you something. Two of the disciples of Frida, because Frida used to teach, and of course, because of her health, she used to teach in Esmeralda, the famous School of Art in Mexico City, but because of her health, she could not go and teach in person anymore. Well, there was not virtual teaching in those times, but what she did is she decided to teach in her house, in the garden, okay? And out of the many students that she had, she ended up with 5 or 6 students. And those students were known as Los Fridos. And two of her students testified that this material actually belongs to Frida Kahlo. For them, this was the writing of Frida Kahlo. This was the way they reflect the personality, the letters and the poems, the personality of Frida Kahlo. And they knew Frida very well. So again, we don't know, but up to this point, it is questionable if this material that again was found in the year 2004 is false, okay? I wish it was not false, okay? I'm not sure, okay? But I found a potion, a love potion, okay? In this love potion, Frida is advising how to conquer that person that we love, okay? And what do we use in Mexico in the love potions? Anybody knows? Flor de toloache, right? So she advises this. I imagine this potion, love potion, as a chant, because right here is toad, toad, toad. And then she says the ingredients: serpent's fang, worm's head wing, 2 twigs, toloache flowers. And this is funny. Look what she says in the recipe. 1 toad skin. La piel de un sapo. ¿De qué sapo? Diego Rivera. Powder of toad's brains, and hard, fresh-toed hands. So we can see that right here, Frida was kind of upset with Diego Rivera. Love and hate, okay? It says mix everything in a copper pot at low temperature. Are you writing this? Combine with swear words. Tienen que decir malas palabras. Until it's ready, then you leave it serenade, and the next morning you give it to the person you want to fall in love with you. It never fails, okay? So again, this is new material that I love because it has a lot of poems and many forms of narratives attributed to Frida Kahlo. Now, let me give a little announcement. In a few years ago, I compiled in an album all the lyrics that I found, not all of them, because now I continue finding more and more, but lyrics that I found in the written work. Lyrics of popular music that I found in the visual work of Frida Kahlo. And let me tell you a little bit about the story of this album, which is called Árbol de la Esperanza, Tree of Hope. I saw this painting, this autorretrato, that Frida painted in the year 1939, 1940, when she cut her beautiful hair because she surprised Diego Rivera cheating one more time with who? With her little sister, Cristina. So Frida was very, very disappointed because she said, okay, Panzón, that was another nickname she had for Diego Rivera. We agree and it's okay to have lovers, but come on, not with my sister. So it was a double betrayal, of course. Her sister Cristina was, of the three sisters she has, the one she loved more. And then Diego, this old man, was already old for Frida. He was 21 years older than her. So in her mind, Diego had seduced Cristina. Okay, anyway, so she decided to, and this is in real life, she cutted her hair, her beautiful braids that Diego loved so much, and she decided to take away her dress, her Tehuana dress that Diego admired, and she, right here we see her in a very big suit, probably Diego's, and she just cut her hair. But I pay more attention in this case to the lyrics we have on her, on the top of the image, okay? And it was amazing for me to see that this lyric, well, how do I know that it's a song? Well, because there is a pentagram. I even went to the piano and tried to get the song, but I could not recognize it. And the lyrics said in Spanish, and then I will translate, mira que si te quise, fue por tu pelo, por el pelo. Ahora que estás pelona, ya no te quiero. And in English is, look, if I love you, it was because of your hair. Now that you are bald, I don't love you anymore. And it's a play of places, because right here it is Frida is pretending that Diego is saying that Diego does not love Frida because she cut her beautiful braids and she is not wearing her beautiful huipil. And then it really opened my inquiriness to find out if this song was actually a song or just something that Frida invented. And after some research, I found that this is actually a song, and we usually probably a song that you have sung yourselves, okay? Because it's these lyrics we sing with the music of Cielito Lindo. Cielito Lindo is the second anthem of Mexico. Actually, Cielito Lindo is not a song original from Mexico, but from Spain, even if the lyrics are attributed to Quirino Mendoza, that was a person nearby Mexico City, from Xochimilco, but actually, which is more interesting, I mean, is because right here you see de la Sierra Morena, from the dark skin is a personification, dark skin, Sierra, a woman, we presume, of black eyes is coming down. And that Sierra Morena is not in Mexico, that Sierra Morena is in Andalucía, España. So this song Cielito Lindo has a long trajectory of centuries ago. Again, it makes it more interesting, this song. And then over the years, we keep adding and adding verses, and these verses, these are some of the verses that we sing, and I will sing for you just to prove that I am not inventing, okay? With Cielito Lindo. So right here is, mira que si te quise fue por tu pelo, ahora que estás pelona, ya no te quiero, okay? After the next painting, I will sing for you Cielito Lindo. Let me present to you another finding, another very interesting finding. Here, this is a painting 6 years later, another self-portrait, okay? And then we have two Fridas, something that Frida does a lot, that duality. We have a Frida, this painting Frida painted after a very big and difficult surgery she had in New York in 1946, where they were going to fuse a bone with a bone of her for femur from to her back, because by those times Frida, the pain that Frida had in her columna, in her backbone, were terrible. She could not even be sitting. She could not stay long hours, not even long hours. She could not stay enough time to work or do something sitting without having a terrible pain, okay? And we must remember, because sometimes we see, we highlight, okay, Frida was addicted, yes, addicted to drugs, addicted to painkillers, addicted to tequila, okay? But we must keep in mind that during her short life, because she only lived 47 years, that's nothing, Frida had more than 30 surgeries. And some surgeries, as this one, were very, very painful, difficult, and in this case, unfortunately, not an unsuccessful surgery. So we see the Frida on your left is a Frida after the surgery with the big scars still bleeding. And the Frida on your right is the Frida later on, much later on after the surgery, in a way a victorious Frida, even though her face is not happy. Again, you see, there are no Fridas smiling, but we think that is a victorious Frida because she has liberated herself from the corset she hated so much, okay, that she had to use every day, and she has a flag in one of her hands, and that flag says, Árbol de la Esperanza, mantente firme, tree of hope. keep firm. So again, she is using those words to give courage herself because she had a lot of resilience. It was not a successful surgery as they expected because the pain and the immobility came later on, a few weeks later, but still she had hope. And then here comes the part that I love, that those lyrics, because those belong to, again, la canción Cielito Lindo, Árbol de la Esperanza, mantente firme. So what I'm going to do right now, and I know we have like a few minutes, is to sing the song for you. And I was telling Abelardo, I had videos and recordings, but sometimes I want to do it live, even with the imperfections, because it's more spontaneous. Okay, when we have this presentation live, I invite you to sing with me. You may sing, but please have your audio mute. Okay, so I'm going to sing just to show you. I will start with De la Sierra Morena, which is the most popular and original verses, okay, that date back to the ninth century. And then the chorus, ay, 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 canta y no llores, sing and don't cry, okay, like you see the encouragement Frida used for herself. And then I will sing the Mira que si te quise, the lyrics that belong to the previous painting and the ones that you are looking at this painting. I hope the sound is not awful, okay? De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. We repeat. De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo de contrabando. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Mira que si te quise fue por tu pelo, ahora que estás pelona, cielito lindo, ya no te quiero, ay, 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 ay. Fue por tu pelo, ahora que estás pelona, cielito lindo, ya no te quiero. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Árbol de la esperanza, mantente firme, que no lloren tus ojos, cielito lindo, al despedirme. Árbol de la esperanza, mantente firme, que no lloren tus ojos, cielito lindo, al despedirme. Que no lloren tus ojos, cielito lindo, al despedirme. I have a nephew that asks me, Tia, why all the Mexican songs end tan tan? And I say, well, one of the reasons is that these songs that have been around for centuries have so many verses that we have to put an end. A very clear end. Otherwise, we continue and continue and continue. Let me share just, Abelardo, is time already? Yeah, I will just share another painting that is accompanied by another song, but if we don't have time for another song, it's fine, okay? We can open the forum for questions or comments. I hope you learned something, but I just want to share that this painting here, El Venadito Herido, is also based in a popular song, okay? And this is really my finding. I am very proud to say that. Right here, I wanted to show this hybrid painting. Frida admired a lot Luther Burbank, who is a horticulturalist, very well known for the hybrid experiments he did, and Frida admired him a lot. So that's why on the left you have a painting she did for him to honor him. And then she did another hybrid picture for herself, with the cuernos, cara de venado, the deer, the cuernos, the horns in the Mexican culture means that they are cheating on you when you have horns, okay? And Diego cheated a lot on her, okay? And then her body as a deer. And there is a lot of symbolism that I don't have time to go into it, but I just want to sing you a little bit of the popular song that that originated this painting, and we finish with that, okay? This is... Soy un pobre venadito que habita en la serranía. Soy un pobre venadito que habita en la serranía. Como no soy tan mansito, no bajo al agua de día, de noche, poco a poquito, y a tus brazos, vida mía. I finish with this, and I thank you again for joining us tonight. I thank you, Abelardo, again for the invitation to give this presentation, very brief. And then we open the space for you to have any questions or commentaries. I will be glad to answer or to try to answer. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Well, thank you so much, Gloria. We really appreciate the time and effort that you take to really research this topic, and then to, of course, to put together the presentation and to practice your beautiful singing. And I think the live has been the highlight. You previously, of course, have done some recordings, and they're nice, but hearing you live is, I think it's a treat for all of us. Yeah, we have a few, if not questions. We have Maria Bello Galicia. If you could please stop screen.
Yes.
Stop share screen, please.
Yes.
Thank you. and again, thank you so much to all for joining us tonight. It's been a wonderful treat. Maria Bello Galicia is asking, I know that Frida died in her sleep, but what was the cause?
It was an overdose. She overdosed in painkillers. We don't know if it was an accident. I mean, she overdosed because she was in so much pain that she overdosed, or she really committed suicide. I tend to think that she committed suicide because she was very depressed by then, and her life was not a quality life anymore, because she was in so much pain, and of course all the drugs had already affected her personality and her relationship with Diego Rivera. Okay, Diego Rivera, sometimes we talk, we think of him like an ogro, a mean one, but he also Frida was a sick person, and those of us who know what is to live with a sick person, we know that the other person has to work a lot and has to stand and tolerate many things. So there was a vaivén there. Yeah, but the cause was an overdose. Yes.
Well, thank you. Yes, and I've done a little bit of research myself, and yeah, that seems to be the consensus, is that she did suffer from an overdose. Melina Paris, she's asking for me. Forgive me if you covered this. I arrived late. And for those of you who did arrive late, we are recording this. We will be posting on our Facebook page. But her question is, how did you come upon these personal discoveries about Frida?
How did I what?
How did you come upon these personal discoveries?
Okay. Well, I believe this is a deeper theme. I think that most of the research done on Frida Kahlo has been done by scholars from the United States, okay, which is fine, of course, the people who have the money to, and the means to do, but sometimes you must, and you will agree with me, you must leave the culture to really realize about many things that they might not know. Because, and this is to answer your question, because I read all the biographers of Frida Kahlo, the most important biographers, Herrera, and they mention, okay, right here, Frida is quoting, in Árbol de la Esperanza, Frida is quoting a song. And say, yeah, everybody say is quoting a song, but what song? So I researched and I ordered a book on refranes and cancioneros. I researched on popular cancioneros until I found this research. Now, the one of El Venadito, this is something that I say based in my experience as a Mexican and a person that was that grew up singing these corridos and these ballads. Okay, so and then there are some references in other letters that Frida does to these songs that I am just singing. It's just a matter to putting together everything. Yes.
No, well, there are of course a lot of research been done on her, and after her death, I mean, she was a known figure in Mexico, and then became very popular in the United States years after her death, and now seems to be interest of her is now international. I did a quick Google search, and there are several exhibitions currently open. One is an outdoor exhibition at the San Antonio Botanical Gardens at the De Young in San Francisco. New articles come out, new books come out. And what do you attribute to this enduring fascination and interest in her life?
Yeah. Well, and this is something that is not my original thinking, but Frida is very personal, but because she goes to the inside of her person, we can identify with her. Okay, Diego Rivera, on the contrary, he would paint history. He was a historian, okay, and his political ideas, and some of them are not relevant anymore, or not for everybody. Whereas Frida is personal. We all have gone through desamor, through betrayal, to many of the feelings that she painted. We have gone to all those. And on top of that, Frida was, as I mentioned, a person with physical disabilities, okay, a person that was always in the between, in the middle. And again, because of that, many people that are in the same circumstances can identify with her. I mentioned she was Mexican. She was a light-skinned Mexican. I always tell my students, I always talk about race, because our society, unfortunately, is racist, okay? And Mexico is not the exception. And but still, I can identify with her. Why? Because she broke those boundaries set by the patriarchal society, dominant society, that myself, I have experienced in other circumstances, but I have similar experiences. So I believe that many men and women can identify with Frida. And besides that, is fascinating. Okay, you were mentioning Abelardo. I just saw two new films on Frida Kahlo, documentaries mainly on Frida Kahlo. One of them was played in Pasadena a few months ago, and they will be available, I believe, again in June. Okay, I'm waiting. One of them is Viva la Vida. Okay, so yeah, there's a big interest on Frida. It's not just a moda, but I believe it's deeper than that. Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you there. Yeah, of course, there's the fascination of her as a painter, but also as a woman, as a someone who during a volatile time in Mexico, and you know, she had an influence then for political views, for feminist views, for her artwork, but these have transcended her times, and they're still relevant now. And you I think you hit it real well, in that people can identify with their suffering, not just her physical, but also her emotional suffering, and how she was able to overcome it, at least for a long period of time, and do something very creative with it.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, we have, let's see, not a question for Martin Olvera, excuse me. This is not a question, but an additional note with respect to Mexican popular music. The traditional ending of a song, or the son, tan tan, is called un cajon.
Un cajón, okay.
Yeah, the cajon, your neighbor references an interval of a rising fourth. So thank you for
Oh
the
my God.
question.
It seems that he knows a lot of music. Yeah, okay, but thank you for illuminating us. Yeah, entonces un cajón, okay,
Yes,
the ending.
and then someone was asking that the painting which showed Frida sitting, and then also on the hospital bed. What is the name of that painting?
The one where she's sitting is a self-portrait with crop hair. That was from 1940. And the one after the hospital, the Árbol de la Esperanza. Some of the paintings of these self-portraits, they have the name of whatever they find, the information they have. The one that I ended up is El Venadito Herido. Okay, El Venadito Herido. And the title took me immediately to the song that I knew, El Venadito Herido. And again, that's something I say porque por mi experiencia, okay? It's not even, but I believe that she is really making a reference to that popular song, El Venadito Herido.
All right, well, thank you for that. And finally, from so many people, Veronica Barriga, thank you, Gloria, for sharing your talent.
Thank you.
Abril Magaña, muchas gracias por la información nueva sobre sus cartas y recetas. Eric Jiménez, gracias, profesora. From a friend, Cheryl Quintana Leader, she says, when you were referencing Diego and his affair with Frida's younger sister, right? However, for Diego to go after his sister and many other women tends to unveil a man who is emotionally harmful to her, and that he was what we know today is a narcissistic man and obviously a sexual predator. So pretty raw, but what do you think about that, Gloria?
Yeah, of course, yeah. He abused his power. Of course, the situation in that instance, I mean, when something happens is made by two people, right? And Cristina was not like a teenager, but still it was a situation where she was modeling, and el maestro, of course, he was the creator, and he would use his position of privilege to seduce these women. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Elena Poniatowska, a writer that I frequently quote, doesn't like Diego Rivera at all. Okay, because of that. Yeah.
No, it's a genius as far as painting is concerned. Was very active politically as well, but he had his faults.
Yeah.
Rosa Jiménez, muchas gracias, doctora. Me encanta poder aprender más sobre Frida. Yes, and I agree, Rosa. We really enjoy learning more about Frida, and I'm sure that there's more to learn, and we look forward to those documentaries. And so, so thank you, Gloria, for joining us tonight on En Casa con la Plaza. Thank you, all of you that joined in today, Micaela Ta and Juanita Barajas, and all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you join us this Friday. A little commercials for what's to come here in Casa con la Plaza, a tradition here. On Friday, April 30th at 7 o'clock, and on En Casa, you could register on Zoom or hopefully be able to watch on Facebook. Latin World Salsa Funk with Gabriel Gonzalez from La Verdad. Gabriel Gonzalez, also known as Gabrielito, has been in the music scene for a long time. He's still a young man, but now he put together a band called La Verdad, which is just tearing up. He's torn up the stage there at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes a couple times, and he was just a couple days ago, a live performance which is recorded, which we'll be presenting on En Casa con la Plaza, and also his story about his life as a musician, as an actor. So that should be something to look forward to. And then this Saturday, we usually don't have En Casa on Saturday, but we have with us Dr. David Hayes Bautista and a great panel, which will be talking about El Cinco de Mayo, an American tradition, which talks about the roots of the celebration of El Cinco de Mayo. Of course, we know the Cinco de Mayo as the date of La Batalla de Puebla, but it was also, the celebration began here in California. Mexicanos and other Latinos who were just so joyful that Mexico, that the Mexican army had defeated the French army in that battle. So we'll learn about El Cinco de Mayo and a lot more on this Saturday, which will be repeated on El Cinco de Mayo. And finally, on Monday, we have our cooking demonstration, this time from El Paso. Emiliano Marantes from a restaurant called El Emi. He'll be demonstrating how to make taco campesino. So that should be fun at 3 o'clock on En Casa con la Plaza this next Monday. And finally, last commercial here, go to our website, lapca.org, to look at our schedule of En Casa, but also to make your reservation to come to visit us at La Plaza de Cultura y Arte once again. We did open a couple weekends ago. We're open from Thursday through Sunday, 12 to 4. Make your reservation. We bring your masks, of course, keep socially distant. We're still in the pandemic. We're on the tail end, which we're thankful for. And so please come on by and bring your credit cards too, because our tienda is also opening. So we welcome all of you back to La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. If not this weekend, we'll be open for the weekends to come, and hopefully be stretching out our schedule as well. So with that, muchas gracias de nuevo, Gloria.
My pleasure.
Y buenas noches a todos.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches a todos.
Adiós, todo mundo.